okay, you would think she's an opera singer, she's a teacher, she's easy with connecting with people. No, I'm actually an introvert.
Welcome to Keeping It 100, guys. This is the show where we uncover the stories, the strategies, and the secrets behind some of the most inspiring and motivated people in my life. So, whether you're chasing a big dream, or you're navigating a challenging season in life, or you're simply just looking for the spark to keep moving forward, this is a space for you to refuel and rise. Every episode, I sit down with extraordinary individuals from all walks of life, entrepreneurs, artists, thought leaders, and everyday heroes to explore their journeys, their lessons learned, and the tools that they use to stay driven. Here you'll find actionable insights, uplifting stories, and motivation you need to take your next step with confidence. So if you're ready to elevate your mindset, overcome some obstacles, and discover your true potential, you're in the right place. So let's dive into today's conversation and fuel the fire within. In today's episode of Keeping 100, I have my friend Sharon Kay on the show. Sharon and I, we met through two of Pace Morby's, well, three of Pace Morby's communities, Gator. That's what focuses primarily on funding and lending. Then we met in Sub 2, and then we both joined Owners Club, which is a smaller mastermind within the Sub 2 community. And we also are teachers. Well, we were just talking before the show. We're retired teachers, but we're teachers because once a teacher, oh,
The teacher.
right. So I asked Sharon on the show because one of the things I really admire about you is you are always stepping up to help other people, always. And you're a great problem solver. And I know that you're somebody I can come to with a question or like, hey, I've got this thing going on. And you do a great job of helping people walk through a situation. And at the same time, you're also navigating a lot of tricky situations in your own life that are beyond inspiring. So we're going to dive into a little bit about that today. As we know, it's inevitable that we'll talk about real estate on Keeping It 100 because most of my guests are in real estate. But I also really like to talk about our personal journey because so much of success as an entrepreneur is our mindset. And part of getting really clear on our mindset and getting to the place where we can be successful in our business, we've got to work through all this stuff, right? And a lot of it is overcoming these things. And you've overcome, I didn't even know until before the show when we talked, you've got a lot, I was like, what are we going to talk about? Well, we could talk about divorce, which is tremendous. A lot of us have overcome that, and it's very hard. Um, Cancer. Wow. And then you have paralysis from a surgery, which is really impacting your life. And I've seen that in person with you. But yet there you are, and you show up and you're doing the things. And I didn't even know about the paralysis. I knew that you had a challenge from the surgery, but to know that you're working through this pain and you're showing up and you're keeping up and you're doing all the things with a smile on your face.
I'm trying.
You're doing it. You are doing it. And that's the thing that I really love about connecting with people on this show and at that level is there's somebody watching right now that is going through these same things, something similar, and they're just wanting to give up because it's really, really hard. Really hard. So before we talk about real estate, can you, since we're on this topic, I'm going to turn the floor over to you. Can you share with us, like, what is the one thing that you come back to over and over that really helps you on those days where you're going to take the dogs for a walk and you're in tremendous pain? You're looking at deals that you need to take care of to make the money. Um, all the things, right? There's got to be one thing I bet that you go back to.
Well, there's a couple of things.
Yeah. Share a couple, share them all.
Yeah, I'll share what I can. And I'm happy to share these questions with you because I know that I'm not the only person with problems. And I'm not the only person who has to overcome life situations in order to find
Right.
success and happiness. And so I really think, first off, is my faith. I am a religious person, and I donate time every Saturday to that cause for several hours to help others. Again, the helper. And
You are.
then I get to lead music at my regular church on Sundays because that's my joy is singing. So
Now,
um,
you've not sung for me, but that's going to be when I see you in a couple weeks. I want to hear your gorgeous voice.
uh, I'm happy to, and I'm supposed to be singing this Saturday for my parish, basically, and they're having a talent show.
I love that.
And, in the choir, we're doing I Feel Pretty, and we're doing, of course, shower caps
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
mirrors and being funky. But then I'll be singing an opera aria seriously
Wow.
to yeah, maybe to elevate the show a little bit.
Ready to take
But
it up a notch. From
but yeah,
shower caps
so
to opera.
I have known since I was 12 years old that I could sing the same repertoire as Marilyn Horne, who was one of the greats.
Yes.
And my body physically knew that that was a possibility for me. And then that was an excruciating journey, and still is, because of the rejection and the constant necessity for perfection. And so
That's
uh,
interesting.
that started me on that path. But yeah, so knowing that um, I don't want to be too religious or too specific, but knowing that everything that I have ever experienced, everything that I am traumatized with, every pain, every sickness has already been experienced and atoned for.
I love that. Yep, I can absolutely relate to that. Yep.
And so, why should I think myself better? And just something I tell my singing students all the time. And then I took it into the classroom with my freshman English. Breathe.
Yep.
And the box breathing that everybody's so excited about, it's nothing new. It
Right.
has been
Been around
around for
for,
centuries,
yes.
and it centers you, brings you back to a place of gratitude.
Yes.
I have to say, I am grateful that I woke up every morning.
Yes, ma'am.
And even if I don't feel that way, I'm grateful that I woke up.
I love that you just said that. I suffer from depression and bipolar disorder. And prior to realizing what was going on, I was just a mess most of the time. And boy, and I've always known about the power of gratitude for a long time. I had a dear friend of mine. She's much older. She's probably 15 years older than I am. And when I met her back in the 90s, she was a practicing Buddhist. And so she taught me back in my 20s all about mindfulness and breathing, and so I know the power of gratitude. But man, when you wake up in the morning and everything in your body says, why are you here? Boy, is it hard work to find something to be grateful for. And people that have never experienced depression, it's holy moly. It's like the craziest, worst thing ever because your logical mind knows how you should be so grateful, right? You're healthy and you've got people that love you and maybe you do, maybe you don't. For me, I did, right? I had a great family and a great kid, all these things. And then the other side of your brain's like, yeah, but you're useless and why are you even here, right? But I found, I think because I already knew the power of gratitude, I was able to push through. And every day I forced myself to find things to be grateful for and to take the time to be grateful. And
Yes.
I love that you just brought that up. I think,
And we have more in common. I've suffered with depression my whole life.
look at that.
Not bipolar, but I've learned how to mask it and to continue on and to,
So,
stand in front of people and just,
smile.
yeah, everything's fine.
That's right. Everything's fine. Oh, I'm good. How are you? Oh, I'm great, thanks. Yeah. Right. I think that's very, very common with people with depression. I love that we talk about it more now. I think we talk about it. We don't necessarily educate people on it. So it's still very much that you mask it because, and let's be real, right? People don't really want to know about, they really just, when they say, "Hey, Sharon, how are you?" They really just want to hear
Well,
you say,
yeah.
"Good."
And so living 8 years in Germany,
Oh,
when
right.
they ask you how you are, they want to know how you are. They don't want to
That's
hear
right.
fine. When
That's
we
right.
ask in the United States, we really don't want to know.
We don't really want to know. That's right. Exactly. I have a friend who, when people ask him, he often will say, like, "shit." And it's shocking how many people don't even catch that
That's it. Yeah.
because they're just used to people saying, "I'm good, thank you."
Yeah. Yeah.
So faith and gratitude, and I think for a lot of people, they go hand in hand. Um, I love that you said that you literally say, "I'm grateful that I woke up." And I think that's huge. I do Tony Robbins priming exercises every morning. And the one thing is you put your hand on your heart and you give thanks and gratitude that your heart literally beats because without
And
that
that,
sucker, forget about it
and that your autonomic system, breathing, is working by itself.
all by itself.
Yeah.
I never think about it.
Yeah.
It's just
That your
happening
blood is coursing through your veins all by itself.
all by itself. I think you just touched on like two of the biggest things. If somebody's watching this and they've not done any sort of mindfulness, there's two things. Every morning when you get up and every morning when you go to bed, just find one thing you're grateful
One
for.
thing.
One thing.
One thing. And
And
if you write it down, it will
mhm,
help you in those moments when it's the hardest.
oh, I love that you said that. Yep. Yeah, I write it down. I like to say the because. I will say I'm grateful that I woke up this morning because I'm going to have my YouTube interview with Sharon today, and I'm really excited for that. Whatever the thing is, right?
Yeah.
And
Mine this morning was that the sun is shining and the birds are singing and the trees are blossoming.
even I love, yeah, there's so much to be grateful for. And then the breathing. I don't know if I've ever
I
showed you.
was
It's on
happy
my
for
wrist.
you. I haven't seen your rose before.
Oh yeah, I've got a rose. Yep. This is my ode to the Grateful Dead. I don't know how to show it on the it's like
And
I'll show you in person.
I grew up in San Francisco as one of those hippie children. And
Oh boy.
so I love the dead for sure.
Oh my gosh. I when we're gonna see Sharon and I will see our each other in a couple weeks. So we'll have now we've got even more to chit chat about. But that's it, the breathing. If you are just spinning, and I get myself going a lot, like a million miles an hour and all the things. All I have to do is go, Trace, take a breath. And I just stop. You just stop. It doesn't matter. You can be in the grocery store. Just
Stop.
stop. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, and just be here.
Yeah.
It changes everything.
Yeah.
It does. So those are, I love it. Those are best two tips of all. So
Yeah.
you were a teacher.
Yeah. I'm
Share-
still am a teacher. Yeah. I still teach
Yes,
voice
that's
um,
right.
privately. Yeah.
Share with us a little bit about your transition from teaching to real estate because I'm so curious. Like, I have a feeling there's lots of fun things that happened in between there.
Okay, so well, before I became a teacher, of course, I was an opera singer for years, and then I stopped when my children were born, my boys were born. And then after divorce, okay, so I'm one of these people that Pace just shakes his head at because I saw real estate as my answer when Carlton Sheets was the guru that Pace is today.
Okay. Yep. I know Carlton. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, everything that Pace teaches is true and has been true for over 50 years.
Exactly.
And so it's just his way of creating the opportunity to work together, to be a community,
Yeah.
to support one another, wasn't there. And
Agreed.
I
Yeah.
could not take the chance, being a single parent, that my kids would be out on the street and wouldn't have any shoes on.
That's right.
So
Yep.
it has taken me. So when I saw the Reen, I was during COVID, I was sick. I thought, well, it's only $14, can't be bad, you know.
Right. Right. And this is the Women's Real Estate Investing Network, the
Yeah.
Women's.
They had a
Yep.
program during COVID
Yep.
for a week long to teach women how to do real estate.
Love that.
And it didn't ring quite true for me, but someone there mentioned pace. And through
Yeah.
that, yeah, well, they in the chat,
Oh, in the chat. Oh, okay.
they
Okay.
mentioned pace, and I thought, well, anybody with that kind of a name, I gotta look them up.
Right. You're like, who's this guy with this crazy name?
Yeah. And so the minute I went to one of his YouTubes,
Hmm.
I knew exactly where he was raised and what his faith was. And I
Oh,
said, that's the guy for me.
there you go.
Yeah. And so I
Fascinating.
joined Gator thinking that, well, that's the easiest way. And it was the cheapest way to join the community at the time
That's right.
before I knew that they would take payments.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Because
so
being a
that's,
single mom is
yeah,
no joke. I'm
yeah,
a single mom right now.
yeah,
It's no joke.
right.
It is a hard job.
Yeah. And so I moved to San Jose from a three-bedroom house in my other town to a very large 2,500 square foot two-story house in San Jose, which I arbitraged for 13 years, renting out rooms co-living style.
Hmm.
And so that was, I can do this all the time. So
Yep.
why am I only doing it here? And
Yeah,
so that's why I started looking at real estate as my solution for my life and creating legacy that my sons can take over for me.
I love that.
They may not be interested in the co-living model that I'm interested in,
Yeah,
but they will see it as a successful business that they can then buy other businesses, do other things,
that's right.
and create passive income for their legacies.
I love that. I think that's so important. People, just thinking about building a legacy for your family. Until I got into real estate, I never really understood even what that word meant. I mean, I know a dictionary version, obviously, but and it just always, to me, in my mind, was always money, money, money. But the truth is, for so many of us, like you and I, that are invested in co-living, we have a passion behind that. And for me, to know that when I pass, not only will I leave a financial security for my daughter, but it will be backed by something that is good and
Yes.
is helpful and serves the community. And gosh, I mean, what an amazing legacy to truly leave. So it isn't just money.
Right.
And well, I guess when I thought of legacy really was like, the Vanderbilts, right? And people that,
Property. Yeah.
yeah, that did these big, big things. But everybody can leave a legacy, and everybody can leave a legacy that makes a difference, not just a financial difference to your family, but to your community and the world. Um, Will you talk to us a little bit about, so you said co-living. I remember you shared with me, by the way, how you were arbitraging renting by the room from like way back in the day. I think that's so cool. I really love
Since
that.
2011, yeah.
So you're a full-time real estate investor now, and you teach singing, correct? Okay.
Yes.
So within real estate, I know we talked a little bit earlier about partners. That's one of the things that you're really wanting to bring to you is more partnerships, right?
Yes.
And
So go
yeah,
ahead.
talk about that for a little bit.
But you were going to say something else?
Well, I was curious, so does what in co-living, how do partnerships in co-living, do they come together? Is there something, maybe let me back up. How about, tell us, why don't we do this? Tell us about co-living. Tell us about what you're passionate about in the co-living world.
Excuse me. I had to blow my nose.
Oh, you're good. I'll ask that question. How about this? I'm going to start that little
That
part over
section over.
now. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll start that section over. Um, so Sharon, you're a full-time real estate investor now, correct? And you're teaching singing voice lessons. I love that. And what are you in real estate right now? What are you most passionate about?
Um, I am most passionate about co-living because being here in California, I just moved away from Silicon Valley. In Silicon Valley, a studio apartment can be a minimum of $3,000 a month.
Wow.
And if you're not in high tech, how can you possibly survive?
Right.
Okay. So, and then all the other rental opportunities are the ratio is higher. And
Right.
so I know that okay, so the people that rented from me were students, so college students, not frivolous ones, but ones wanting to go further on to medical school.
Sure.
I had a physician's assistant, a salesperson, an author.
Oh, neat.
Okay, so these people, and most of them stayed years, not
Yeah.
months,
Yeah.
years.
And so these are professionals. These are, yep.
Yeah, and so I was very, oh, so over 13 years, and renting 4 rooms, so that's quite a few rooms. I
Mhm.
only had to evict 4 people because I was very careful about the interview process.
Mm,
It didn't really matter to me whether they had a job or whatever. If I had the gut feeling that it was a good fit
yep.
and my dog liked them, I had a pit bull most of the
Very
time.
important. Very important.
Yeah, I trusted that and only had to evict 4. So I thought, and I have created a housemate agreement which allows me to evict someone fairly quickly. So the last person I had to evict, I had out in 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's terrific. That's what you want.
Yeah. So uh, because of the contract, the housemate agreement, it's not a rental agreement and
Yes.
it's not a tenancy. So,
Right.
but
Wow.
a little more in detail than we probably need to go. But it is so important to provide affordable housing. Families can't
Yeah.
afford apartments. And
No.
um, as you spoke once, I believe, about, the landlord telling you, well, your daughter, hey, I'm
Yeah.
a teacher.
Yeah.
There's only so much money available.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. It's
And
true. I had a
so
very hard time finding places to live when I was first a single mom. I hadn't worked in a long time, and so I had no um
history.
employment history and all the stuff. I have a studio in Hawaii, and I have a couple in there with the little girl, and it's tiny, tiny. They're both teachers, and they reached out to me one day because they heard my tenant was leaving. Where they had been living was sold. They looked for 3 months. They could not find a place. They said, Will you please rent to us? Like, we will be living in our car. This is 2 teachers
Yeah.
going to live in their car with their baby.
Yeah.
And when I showed up, I went there to help the one tenant move out and get them, make sure the place was clean and get them moved in. both of the husband and wife, I mean, they were in tears with gratitude. Now, I love that, but that's nonsense. They shouldn't have to be grateful to live in a 500 square foot apartment. They're two
Nonsense.
educators. They should be able to rent a lovely home in a nice neighborhood. They should have money to take a vacation. I mean,
Yeah,
come on, right?
yeah, yeah,
So, to your point,
yeah,
love that.
absolutely. And it's just okay. So, during my journey as a single parent, I've been an accounting clerk. I worked myself up to admin to an executive director of cystic fibrosis.
Wow.
Then I went to a construction company and was admin to the VP. And, just, but during all that time, I still had something else to do on the side.
Yeah,
So I sold insurance and mutual funds.
I love it.
Um,
You're such a hustler. I love that.
taught lessons, because you have to survive.
Yeah,
And I had a one bedroom apartment and my boys had the bedroom and I got the couch.
that's right. Yeah,
That's what you have to do. And so
yep,
if I can provide that co-living space
yeah,
where oh, and then there's a place in San Mateo that rents a house and puts single parents in the house with
yeah.
their children.
Yes, yes. I've heard of that model. I think that's, could you imagine? How amazing.
Yeah. So, and before I was able to move into my own apartment, we had to do that.
There you
You
go.
know? So we have to provide a way for people to have a decent place to live that they can afford.
Yeah.
And like you said, a teacher. Okay, so excuse me. I have a PhD from England, which is
Right.
not accepted here on the California,
Of
but
course not.
I'm still a teacher.
Yeah.
And so I have an education. I should be able to make enough money to be able to live comfortably, like you
Right.
said, but it's not
Yeah.
possible.
No, education, I've always said that education in America, being a teacher, it's like a hobby job, right? So you have to have somebody else in the family making a real living, earning an actual living wage. And then it's like a fun job, right? I mean, it's kind of how it came about. It was, a women's career, right?
It's
Or
delightful
maybe
if you don't need the money.
that's right. It is delightful if you don't need the money. But if you're going to work as a teacher, and you have to either come home at night and take a second job or work on the weekend, or maybe you can't do that because you have small children,
Real
but you're
estate.
just coming home freaking out in your head that how am I going to pay the electric bill?
Yeah.
I mean, there were weeks where and months where I didn't eat.
Yeah.
My daughter would never know that. My daughter ate, right? But I would eat what she didn't eat, right? Which
Yes.
is like, I'm all done. Instead of being like, are you sure? I'd be like, okay.
But yeah, I mean, I did that and I had two boys who were,
Oh gosh,
they
I
would go
can't
through a
even
gallon of
imagine.
milk a day,
I can't
so.
even imagine. I just had one girl.
Mm,
So, so I think you and I are both, we can agree that co-living, in my opinion, every real estate investor needs to have at least one, at a bare minimum,
yeah.
co-living property in their portfolio.
Yes.
We need to meet people where they're at. And people need, there's single people that are making your coffee at Starbucks that need somewhere to live. Some of them maybe need some community and they want some community, and others don't. Others went through some stuff and they just want to, they're in front of people all day long at Starbucks, at Walmart, at Home Depot. They just want to come home, have a nice, clean, cozy room to go to. Then we've got seniors that need a place. We've got veterans that need a space with community. We've got teens that age out of foster care. All of these people,
Sober living. Yeah.
sober living, they all need a safe, comfortable place to call home. It's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you
Absolutely.
don't have a safe place to live, I try to explain this to business owners, right? And I say, okay, if your employee shows up at work and they just woke up in their car half an hour ago, right? And it was cold, so they didn't sleep great. and maybe they went into the bathroom at Walmart and they washed themselves up. So they show up at work, they look good. How do you think they're going to perform versus the person that slept great because they were in a warm, cozy house and they woke up and they had money for breakfast and they had their cup of coffee and they took a hot shower? Do I really need to explain that to you, right? Yeah,
And then providing the income basis that people need in order to have that minimal security in life.
yeah, right, right. And that's the other piece too, is if you're constantly worried about how do I pay this bill? How do I pay that bill? How about college for my kid? What about the car breaks? Your nervous system is always in a panic.
Right.
It's
The
never
adrenaline is always flushing your body.
right, right. So I do agree and feel very strongly that by providing affordable housing options for people, we can over time make a true impact in people's lives on a greater level, right? And generationally we'll start to make a change.
Yes.
What part of co-living because there's so many different models of co-living. What are you really focused on or what's like near and dearest to your heart?
Okay, so two things that I'm doing right now.
Yeah,
I'm helping another fellow owners club member start his sober living in Southern California.
I love this.
He has three properties in Baltimore, but is moving to the West Coast to see if he can't get his model to work here as well. So
Because the
I,
West
I'm
Coast is
help,
the best coast.
yeah. Hey, I'm trying to help him with the healthcare organizations and
Okay.
governmental connections.
Wow.
And so, but the main thing that I'm really concerned about is for years, I was a part of the California Federated Women's Clubs. And in my district, I was the domestic violence awareness chairperson. And I traveled our district and presented to the women what human trafficking looks like, what happens when teens get termed out, what happens to the women who are affected by domestic violence. Because it was a women's club, we concentrated on women. I know men also have all of these problems, but you can't concentrate everywhere. And
No.
so all of these uh, demographic groups fall into the area of basically domestic violence
Yep.
because trafficking is violence. Being thrown out on the street with a plastic bag full of your clothes when you're 18 is violence. And I feel obligated because I was an educator in domestic violence awareness to
Right.
bring this specific group under an umbrella. So my goal is to have several smaller multifamily properties up
Mhm.
to maybe 12 units or max 20 units so that there's a large enough community for
Mhm.
these survivors to connect. But there's also one of the units can be a service center where they get their social services, they get their education, they get their job training, they get financial training, all on site so that they don't have to fear being recognized in their old neighborhood. And
Mhm.
in the safety of this small community, they can grow until they're ready for transition to a different living style.
Wow. I love that. Um, the the piece where you're taking it that step further and providing those services, that to me is where the difference really, that's where the change happens. Because um it's great to have housing. That's huge, right? You've got to have a place to feel safe, but then what?
Yeah,
Right? And these people, primarily they're women, are beyond traumatized.
yes.
What is done to them is beyond outrageous.
Yeah.
And it's hard to trust again. I think having a community where you're with other women that have been through that experience, you can relate to one another. But then just getting back out in the world, that people don't recognize that level of trust that is taken from you when you are abused like that is,
The absolute terror of
yeah,
having to step out into society
yeah,
again.
right.
And that's why having the social services on site is such that's my heart right now.
So I love this. And, people don't, I think people don't necessarily understand that what seems so simple to us, something as simple as you need to go get a bank account, okay? You're going to go to the bank, right? And we all know it. We've been there, right? And they're looking at you like, who's this person? Oh, are they here to steal from us? Like the what, oh, how can we help you? Right? And it's intimidating and they're going to ask you questions and then they're going to ask for your ID and maybe you're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't want you to have my ID." Like, and the panic can set in. And I've worked with I know this because I've worked with interesting populations through my education and through volunteer work I did with a program called CASA. And
Oh,
so
Casa, well,
yeah,
yeah.
so dealt similarly with women and men in these really tragic situations. So to be able to be in the safety of your community, in your home, and have services, I love this. I hope there's people watching this that are as inspired as I am and will reach out to you because you're going to need funding for your
Yeah.
projects, correct? Okay.
And the nonprofit organizations need to jump on.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's an interesting piece. So when people think real estate investing, I think a lot of times they just think, I'm gobbling up all these properties and I'm jacking up the rents and I'm not going to do any work. There's a portion of investors, yes, that's their model, right? But
There,
you and I, we don't work with those people. Our community, and you'll never see anybody on this podcast keeping it 100 that is like that. This is all about we're the good people here. We are the people making a difference and
improving life.
improving lives. That's what it's about. And so, with that being said, you need funders. You need people to help fund your projects.
Yes.
Will they be profitable? Yes, of course. I mean, everybody we talked about, we want to leave a legacy. We all need income. We want to do well. I always joke around, but it's not really a joke and say, I still have my Porsche 911 picked out, ready to go. So I'm not a martyr. I will have my Porsche. And
Well, mine is a 450 SLC.
okay, I love it. So see,
Classic, only classic cars, right?
I love that. So we talked about I mean I'm just so grateful for having you on. There's so much value you just brought. We talked a little bit about your journey, how you've kind of gotten over and through and what you're still going through and the strategies that you use, which I love that. What about so people that are listening, they're going, this is great, but I'm stuck, right? Like, yes, I'm motivated. This is great, ladies. Thanks for motivating me. But now I feel less motivated because I'm just stuck, right? So when you're feeling stuck, I know I feel stuck a lot. Even when I have a lot of things going on, there's days I still feel like, am I moving forward? Am I actually doing anything?
Well, I
What
have lots of those.
Right. I mean, I think a lot of us do. Do you have any tools or tips for people or suggestions on kind of how to get past that feeling?
Well, I allow myself
Ooh, I like that.
one day where I can wallow in my mire. I can feel sorry for myself. I can say, oh, woe is me, but
Mhm.
that's only one day. And then the next day is, okay, what do I have to do? I have to connect. I have to make phone calls. The
Yeah.
hardest thing in my life, because I can be in front of 3,000 people and perform and talk, but one-on-one like we're doing,
Yeah.
I really appreciate the opportunity to practice with you
Yeah, I love it.
because it is hard for me, and it is hard to open up and say, not everything is fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so one day of wallowing, and then you have to get yourself up. And oh boy, I'm really live by my calendar, have for years.
Hmm.
And I make myself follow what's on my calendar. If it says I'm going to call real estate agents for 2 hours, then I call real estate agents for 2 hours. If I am still trying to get that Oxford House person to give me their connection to a county in California where they're successful, then I have to do that. You only get one day to wallow.
I love that. One day to wallow. That is great advice. You only get one day to wallow.
Yeah. And then
I think that's perfect because it's okay to take that time for yourself. It
yeah.
is. And sometimes we just need that.
And you get your nails done, you get your hair cut, you get a facial or a massage.
Yeah. Yeah, take a nap, whatever you need to do, but then get back up there and get going. Pace Morby always says the magic is in the work you are avoiding. I have a
Mhm.
sticky note right here,
Yeah.
and it couldn't be more true. Once you dive in and you really commit to the things that you're not wanting to do, all the things you're avoiding, like calling the realtors or calling the person at Oxford House, it starts to come together. So I would agree. I'm all about the consistency is huge. You've got to stay consistent, which comes back to the calendar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if somebody is watching this and hearing this conversation about the consistency and using your calendar, I will say, please go get Dan Martell's book. I don't get any royalties off of saying this. I'm just saying it. Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time.
Yeah.
Go through, even though you might read it and think, oh, I don't have this massive business and I don't need to know these things. You don't need any of that. What you need to do is do what he says in that book, and it will dramatically change your life.
And one of the other things that he says, if you don't have an assistant, you are one. And that hit me because most of my adult life as a single parent was as an admin and helping CFOs and VPs
Right.
do their life. And I'm going, but wait a minute. I
Right.
need somebody to do that for me. And that's where we have to buy our time back, be able to have someone to do that work for us.
That's right. I love that you brought that one up. That's another one of my favorite quotes of his. Oh my gosh.
But the first one was amazing. Yes. The magic is in the work you are avoiding.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
Yep.
Um,
So
we could
true.
talk for hours.
We could. I know, but you must have other things that you need to do, like me.
Well, that's right. We're both busy gals. So we are going to wrap this up. And I want to thank everybody that's watching for tuning into Keeping It 100. We really hope that you enjoyed this episode and that it left you inspired and motivated and just ready to take on whatever comes next. And Sharon, I really just big shout out to you. So grateful for having you on here and for sharing your journey and being vulnerable with us. I want to make sure people know how to connect with you. I want to make sure people that are interested in supporting you on your journey to support traffic victims, that they know how to find you so they can give you money because I just see it coming, girl. So, what is the best way for people to connect with you?
Okay, so I have an Instagram channel. It's called SharonK.1.
Okay,
You
and it's
RONKAYE.
SharonKay.1.
So my name here that's on the screen without a
There it is.
space and a dot one.
Perfect.
Um, my I have also a podcast which I started
Okay,
a year ago, but
that's
I'm
right.
having trouble uploading.
We're
So
going to help you fix that.
I'm working on it,
Yeah.
but it's called A Meeting with Sharon.
Oh, I love
And
that.
so that's been my title. And so we can
That's
also meet
gorgeous.
there, but
Perfect.
at Instagram at SharonK.1. If you
Perfect.
want to, I should have changed my tag here, but I'm sure
No,
people
that's great.
understand how to do that.
That's perfect. And we'll make sure, folks in the comments section, we'll make sure the description that you've got Sharon's Instagram information there, and we'll also tag her YouTube channel so you'll be able to find her there. So before we go, I always like to ask people three quick action items, right? So I want people to, when you please take a minute and reflect on this episode and just think about what part of Sharon's story really resonated with you and how might you apply that in your life. Then connect with Sharon and I. We love talking to people. Reach out to us on Instagram. Tell us about how we inspired you or what you enjoyed about the show. It really makes our day. And then, of course,
Yeah.
subscribe
Yeah.
and spread the word.
We need subscriptions for sure.
That's right. And then don't
Right.
forget, join us next time and we'll bring you some more empowering conversations here on Keeping It 100. Thanks everybody for showing up and we will see you on your next episode.